Hello, my name is Maya K. Welcome to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about Seeking Sister Wives Season 4, Episode 13, and we start off with India, Taryn, and Marcus outside at their fireplace that's super nice. Like, they have a really nice house, and I really didn't think they did from like the outside of it. But once you go inside and you see the bag, it's like a pretty nice house. I guess you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. They start talking about the relationship Marcus has with Bina and Janae, and he says he really doesn't have butterflies in his stomach about either one of them, but if anything, he could see them as good friends if things don't work out. I found that kind of odd just because earlier in the season, Marcus was asking when the sex comes in, like he was urging to have sex with Janae and Bina or whichever one it was at the moment. You want to be with them enough to have a friendship, but not enough to have a relationship. I mean, I guess it's fine if like it's a mutual agreement, but if one person is convinced like y'all are dating or leading into the stages of dating, wouldn't that be kind of unfair to like not make them aware or tell them? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking way too deep into it and going off a far deep end of the situation. I don't think he had sex with neither one of them, so it's fine, but I did find it odd how he was bringing that up in the beginning of the situation. Anyways, moving on, they also talk about how there's been a lot of hiccups in the road looking for a sister wife, and they still haven't found exactly what they're looking for, and Marcus asks for India's permission to continue looking for a sister wife. She says yes, she gives Marcus her permission, which I don't know why, because India obviously isn't happy with it. She wants to be the trophy. When she can't be the trophy, that's an issue, and it's going to be a really big issue later on if they actually do find someone. I don't even think India's wrong for feeling that way. Generally speaking, in a polygamous relationship, maybe, yeah, but just in general, I don't think she's necessarily wrong for wanting to be that way or feeling that way. So that's pretty normal. But in this situation, it's not gonna work. But they're gonna take a break on looking for sister wives in general, and they're gonna start planning the wedding for Marcus and India. Something that I completely forgot about is that Marcus and India are engaged. I always kind of just said they were married just because, I mean, they kind of are at this point. They just haven't had the wedding and stuff yet, which that makes me wonder, are Marcus and India legally gonna get married? Or are Marcus and Taryn legally gonna stay married? I don't know, something to really think about. But next, move on to the Merrifield family. They're going out for dinner with Roberta, and it's also their last night in Brazil. And also the translator is there, which something I would like to correct myself about. I had said in my previous videos is that the Merrifields hired a translator. Actually, TLC did so. You can see her name in like the credits, so I figured I would correct myself. I should have figured though, just because hiring a translator seems kind of expensive, especially for only like 4 or 5 days. Yeah, that's it. And they're happy how the trip has went and how it's been going. They're glad Roberta booked the plane ticket, but they're also kind of upset that there was a miscommunication, but they've gone past that and moved on. They do end up talking about the miscommunication at the dinner. Roberta ends up bringing up them adding another sister wife when she obviously was not okay with it. Daniel and Garrett are confused because to them it was only getting to know another person, not necessarily adding someone. And this is very much besides the point, but Garrett looks like he just came from the wild west. I have no idea why, but they're from like Utah or Colorado or one of those states, so I don't expect anything less or more. But I just thought that was funny. Not so much even funny, just kind of odd, but whatever. Back to the point, like I said, they're confused on why she was upset about that, but she had stated multiple times that she was very uncomfortable with it. I just don't think they cared to listen at all. And also, I think neither of them have any basic concept of boundaries, or at least Garrett doesn't, because he always crosses Danielle's boundaries. Danielle just doesn't say anything about it, but different conversation for a completely different time. They're also wondering where this was all coming from because they had put it behind them, but I'm not even sure that Roberta was making an issue out of it. I think she was just using an example of how they got past something and how they're here now. It also could be wrong, but I don't think I am. What Roberta could be doing is trying to make a point and get her point across, saying like what they did just wasn't okay, which figuring what they said, I don't think they still understand what they did wasn't okay. Mainly Garrett, because Danielle wasn't the one dating, it was Garrett. But also Danielle didn't stand up for Roberta when she wasn't there, so I could definitely see how Roberta would feel away. She does come to Garrett's defense when Roberta's kind of bringing this all up again, saying they were just friends and only a kiss happened. But Roberta's saying friends don't kiss each other, and Roberta didn't even know that they did kiss or had any type of intimacy. Garrett and Danielle are trying to say there was no intimacy, meaning sex, but intimacy goes for kissing, hugging, and all that stuff. Roberta says that, like, just in general, I thought there was a rule on no any of that, but it seemed like another miscommunication that happened when they did bring it up again, and they say Roberta had came around to it, which I don't think she ever came around to it though. I think they forced her to come around to it, and she played friendly with Leah just because it wasn't Leah's fault and there was no need to be rude. But overall, I think she didn't want to do it from the beginning, and they forced her into being okay with it. And I honestly think that's Roberta's whole issue with like this whole thing. They forced her into something that she really didn't want to do. It seems like that's what's happening with this plane ticket situation and Roberta coming to America. I'm not even sure if Roberta wants to be in America like that. Well, we probably know already because by the time I upload this, the new episode would have premiered. But at this moment, I don't know whether she's gonna get in that plane or not. And then they kind of forced her into it, which, like I said, I don't think Roberta wants to do it from the beginning. I think she was just looking for something fun, and this happened to be fun for her, but now it's no longer fun. It's gone serious, and I think that's where a lot of relationships have an issue, because on one person then it was just something they were doing for fun and have any real intentions of making it work like the other person did, and all the boundaries and standards are different and all confused. But that's a completely different rant. Next we move on to Brenda and Steve, and they're moving their stuff into their new house, which is nearly finished, and it looks pretty nice for the most part, and I would say they did a pretty good job. Maybe it's just because this is my type of interior I like, but I don't know, I like it for the most part. They're thinking about asking April to move in with them. I don't know why, because I don't think April has met Jaden yet. I'm not sure why they would do that, and I just think that's one more way Steve can ruin his relationship with his daughter, in my opinion, but it's just my opinion, like I said. There's also a lot for them to think about, because they have to ask themselves, will she be not only a good sister but a good parent? And I chuckled when they said that, because I think his oldest son is 18 and his daughter is 16, which that's only like a 4 or 5 year gap between her and Jaden, and only a 3 or 4 year age gap between her and Preston, which is like kind of weird to think about. And I don't know if they would respect her as a parent, because I know I personally would have respect for her, because you should just have respect for people, whether you know them, whether you like them or not, just mutual respect. But having respect for a human being and just in general is way different than having like respect for your parent. Really need to go farther, do more things than you would just having mutual respect for another human being. And the respect also the respect is just mandatory for the relationship to work out. Well, with any relationship, respect is mandatory for it to work out, but especially the ones with your parents. And I don't think April is just gonna fall into that role like that, to be honest. She's gonna become more of a friend to them than like an actual parent, which, not that there's anything wrong with that, because I know there's a lot of step-parent relationships between kids where they're more friends, or not necessarily closest friends, but like casual friends, I guess you could say, more than just like a parent relationship. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it doesn't make it any better that April is only 21. So I don't know, I just find the whole situation weird, and the expectations are weird as well. Next, we move back around to Danielle, Garrett, and Roberta. Her and Danielle are confused why she's upset about Leah and Garrett kissing, because thought that she was aware of like the process they were going through. I feel that she's overreacting. I don't think she is, because when you're being lied to and manipulated into a situation that you never agreed to, you would be upset too. I don't mean like the whole polygamy situation, but she's saying that she wasn't okay with something, then y'all go ahead and doing it. Like, that's pretty much crossing any boundaries that lady had. But as I said earlier, I don't think they understand the concept of boundaries, so let's just move on. But they end up meeting back up with Roberta, and they end up saying sorry and kissing and moving on and forgiving each other, which Roberta doesn't really forgive them, I don't believe. I think she's just putting it on so they can all move on past it. Move on to Jennifer, Nick, and April, and Danielle. And Danielle is going out with one of her friends, Ariel, who she goes to work with, or she used to work with. I thought they were related, and I don't know, maybe just because I see they kind of have the same body type, but I literally think they look alike outside of the same body type, which I need to stop doing that because it's not good to do that to people just because someone has one similar feature. That doesn't mean they're related. But anyways, friend Ariel doesn't know a lot about polygamous relationship. She kind of knows the basics, but she doesn't know like the ins and outs of it. After they finish walking, they go and get pizza. Now this scene kind of changed kind of quickly. Sorry if it sounds confusing, but they go from like taking a walk to getting pizza. But anyway, sitting down to them eating pizza, Ariel asks Danielle if she thinks she's ready for this, and she thinks she is. Even after her questioning everything about this situation, she still wants to be in it. She still wants to go forward with it. But Danielle does bring up them sharing a bed, like how the whole intimacy thing will work, and her friend Ariel is a little shook by it just because it's abnormal and it's not something you really hear a lot. But to put her friend in even more shock, Danielle brings up how Nick doesn't work and how the wives work, and Nick sits at home. He thinks and he reads and he like looks stuff up on the internet. He doesn't even cook or clean like the wives do that once they get home from work as well. And Danielle kind of gets defensive a bit about Nick not working, even though her friend Ariel wasn't, questioning her about it. She's just kind of going with the flow, but she kind of did get defensive and defends Nick by saying by all the reading and writing and research he does, he'll be able to pass down this knowledge to their kids and have endless things to tell them, which is honestly wild to think about. And I've heard this whole season, but every time one of them brings up, the more crazy it sounds to me. It's not crazy that Nick stays at home, because I'm all for getting rid of gender roles in your relationship if they don't convenience you. But Nick isn't cleaning, cooking, or even helping out. He's simply just existing and being another child to take care of. Reading and writing is productive if you're in the first grade, but for you to be nearly 40 just sitting at home doing that's not really productive. And if he's so into learning, why doesn't he just go to college and get a degree? Like, I'll take that over just sitting at home looking stuff up on the internet. At least that's being some form of productive. And of course, her friend Ariel is very shocked by this. Going to like a little in-person confession with her friend. Her friend feels like Danielle is being manipulated, that Nick really isn't being productive. And she says that Nick thinks that he's too smart to work, and that's basically what it is. He thinks he's too smart to work, go to college, or really do anything, and he's like just supposed to sit at home and do nothing. Like I said earlier, Nick could like go get a college degree, start a business or something, or not only benefit his family for the now, but for many generations on and on and on. But I just think he hides behind this so he doesn't have to do anything. So I'm not gonna rant about him any longer because there's no real point behind it, and we're just gonna move on to Tasha and Sidian. They're introducing the kids to Ariel for the first time over FaceTime. This is really important for them because this can be a deal breaker, because if your kids do not get along with your partner, then the relationship can potentially not work out at all for them. They also have not told the kids that they are engaged to Ariel, which I don't know if that's something they should really hide, because I think that's kind of important, because they can be under the impression like things are gonna be taken slow, but they need to have different expectations if y'all are already engaged. They just like know what to expect, and it isn't like completely rocking their world upside down. Pretty sure it's turning your world upside down, but whatever, you get my point. But in this scene, they do sit down and just talk to them and talk about them being engaged. The youngest son didn't know what engagement had meant because he looks no older than like 8, so they explained that to him. And of course, their other son, Liam, but Liam already knew what proposal and engagement, all that stuff was, because I think he's like 14 or 15. And they're 100% okay with them being engaged, even though they have not even met Ariel yet. But maybe they just want their parents to be happy no matter what, because that's what the situation is for Steve and Brenda. So it could possibly be like a similar situation, not the exact same situation, but similar. But to them actually like meeting Ariel, it went pretty smooth and they liked her, and yeah, that was really the end of that. Not really too much happened in the scene. I kind of stretched it as much as I could, but yeah. Lastly, we're going to move on to the Merrifield family. They're saying goodbye to Roberta, which is kind of cringy to watch because they automatically start crying. I'm all for people crying. If you want to cry over a bird dying that you had no relation to, go ahead. knock yourself out. But they cry like so much to the point where it's like it's not even funny even more. It's just like, why are y'all crying? I'm not saying this wasn't a reasonable thing to cry about, but I feel like they care about everything else too. So it's just a lot of crying for me personally, especially when they're their own reason why they're crying, because they manipulated the situation to be something it wasn't. But once it did not work out in their favor, now they're upset. But yeah, that was the end of that. They said goodbye and cried, and Roberta left. But yeah, that was the end of the episode. Tell me what you thought of the video. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. And I'm super excited for the next episode. It's also the last episode. I'm gonna be reviewing Love After Lockup. I know I'm kind of like on a late start, but Love After Lockup is like an hour long, so I want to be able to balance out my time right. So doing 2 shows in a week is kind of like a lot for me at the moment. That's why I didn't do it, but that's not the point, and I'm ranting. But yeah, hope you have a good day, and bye.